Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Specialist Lewis. Today I'll be giving you a brief on leader attributes. Today's brief is unclassified. Risk assessment is low, and it is the duty and responsibility of all soldiers and DA civilians to protect and preserve its environment. So on today's agenda, we'll be going over the intro. We'll go into attribute number 1, which is character. We'll go into attribute number 2, which is presence. Then we'll talk about attribute number 3, and we'll also talk about the LRM and the blue card. And then we'll go into the conclusion, and then we'll ask questions. So for the introduction, the attributes support leadership action valuable for continued development and effective performance. Basically, the reasoning behind leader attributes. So during this brief, I will discuss the 3 attributes and their place in the be, know, and do leadership philosophy, and how it helps leaders to achieve a goal. And I'll be referring to ADP 6-22, Introduction to Army Leadership, and we'll also be referring to a leadership assessment report. So in this next slide, we have the LRM, Army Leadership Requirement Model. So the LRM, it basically breaks down leadership attributes and competencies. For the do and the know part, that deals with leadership attributes, what I'll be discussing in this brief, and that is what Army leader is. So on the other part, we have leader competencies, and that's what an Army leader does. And then on the right diagram, we just have a breakdown of the subcategories with leadership attributes and the competencies for the be, know, and do part. And the do part is basically the competencies, meanwhile the attributes play the main part in the do and the know part of Army leader attributes. On this next slide, we have the blue card. So throughout my military career, I haven't used it, but I believe it's because that's used for like the cadet command, and it's not really on our side, but it's basically a leadership report. And as you see, you have part 1, and block 1 talks about character, then block 2 goes into presence, and then block 3 goes into the intellectual capacity. And in block 1, it basically breaks down the Army values. In block 2, it talks about the military bearing, just the subcategories of the leadership, the leader attribute of presence, and then it talks about the leader attributes of intellect, and it talks about the innovation, and they get scores and stuff in these different categories. So leadership, as your leader attribute number 1, character. So character is basically your personality. It's who you are on a day-to-day basis, and it's what people perceive you to be. So character basically deals with the Army values, and all soldiers know the Army values, and the Army values is just the standards, and it's essential to becoming a leader and, to lead others. And then it goes into empathy, and empathy is just like caring for somebody and, like seeing the point of view from somebody else's shoes, like whether they're your juniors or your peers or whoever, it's just seeing the problem from their point of view. Then we have the warrior ethos. And the warrior ethos, like again, it's kind of like the Army values. It's a creed, it's a way of life. It's the attitude of the profession, basically. Then we have discipline, and that's just obedience, and it depends on, and discipline kind of shows with the decisions and everything you do and how you make those decisions, and if you make them based off the Army values. And humility for me is it's like humbleness in a way. Self-understanding, you're motivated about your team, you're motivated about the mission, and you're just open to feedback from other people. And character, like I said, once again, it's just like an overall personality view. So then we have presence, leader attribute number 2, presence. So presence starts off with military and professional bearing. Basically just a leader who knows that they are a soldier 24/7. Well, every soldier should know that. Whether this uniform come off, we're still soldiers at the end of the day. So they keep that professional image throughout wherever they go, whether in or out of uniform. Then we have fitness, and fitness also deals with that image. You know, are you in reg with AR 670-1? You know, like whether it's body fat, you know, APFT. It doesn't just deals with that, but it just shows that, you know, you're the stewardship of the profession. So then we talk about confidence, and a leader who is confident to lead and, you know, retain their composure throughout what's going on around them, and, you know, and that just goes with resiliency, being able to push through and to be a good lead to your subordinate alike. But resiliency is like just continuing to, you know, move forward despite what happens. So presence, the second leader attribute, presence, is just like an overall of just, you know, your outward appearance, and it's not just about showing up, and, you know, it's about the little stuff with it. Like I said, being confident, having resiliency. Are you gonna, you know, go through with the mission? So then the last one, leader attribute number 3 is intellect. So intellect plays with the mind a little bit. It's just the mental, you know, mental abilities and, you know, what's going on in your head. So you have mental agility, and that's basically just not being one-minded. I would say like closed-minded. You know, you're flexible, you know, like you can adapt, and that's one of the things a service member have to do, is be able to adapt under any circumstance. So mental agility is just like being able to adapt despite, you know, what's going on, you know, being a flexible mind. Then we have sound judgment, just being able to sniff out your soldier's strength and weaknesses, and, you know, being reliable to make guesses, judgments, decisions, and everything. Then we have innovation. So innovation is just like nothing stays the same. So, you know, you always something new going on in the military. So, you know, innovation is just like introducing new ideas, just keeping it fresh, just challenging your subordinate life. And then we have interpersonal tact, which is being aware of other people, motives, characters, you know, just situational awareness, basically, about the people around you. And expertise is just like, it can be skill-based, it can be, you know, not even, it can just be knowledge in general, but having expertise is just having high knowledge, whether it's a skill, but you're competent in that area. You're like a SME, you know, like, so those traits are, you know, like, those 3 attributes are what makes a great leader. Having those 3 attributes, and, you know, like, just putting your best foot forward, and, you know, those are the leader. Those are what makes leaders great. You know, like I said, all military service members, you know, they live by the Army values. I would hope so. They live by the Army values, where you eat those soldiers' creed, all of that. You know, so it's like kind of like leaders, and you don't even have to be an NCO or officer to live by these attributes. Those are just a soldier, just in general. So we talked about the LRM, basically a breakdown of the leader attributes and competencies. Then we went into the blue card cadet command, basically a assessment report. We talked about character, basically appearance of your your personality, and we talked about presence, just showing up, how you look. You know, are you in regs of AR 670-1? Then we went into intellect, and intellect is basically a mind thing. So my question to myself, what attribute do you feel you need to work on more, and why? What does a leader attribute, how does a leader's attribute affect their team? Once again, my name is Specialist Lewis. This concludes my brief of leader attributes. Thank you.